you and I, have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which they must not advance.
All right. On the way back to the house from shooting the Pulse nightclub video, and had to kind of take a minute to kind of get my shit together and get squared away. I'm a hard-headed, stone-cold asshole to the core, but I'll tell you what, the absolute worst in this world brings out the absolute best in this world from people. And shit, I took a wrong turn. Still trying to learn my way around this fucking place. The fact that I'm trying to use the Waze app and cut a video at the same time probably isn't helping things. But like I said, the absolute worst in people brings out the absolute best in people, and I'm here to tell you, I'm a cynical motherfucker. And you know, there are times when I literally believe that the entire world has just gone to shit, and you know, it's kind of defeating, man. It's kind of a helpless feeling, like, man, there ain't shit you can do about it. What came from that shit show at Pulse was me getting to see the heart and soul of this city and the people who live here and the people who work for it. And you know, it just it really blows me away. This might be the hospital where the victims got taken initially. No, this is Arnold Palmer Center for Children, isn't it? Alright, one of you turkeys, make up your fucking mind. Anyway, but just as important as talking about, you know, the actual tragedy and what happened and how people have stepped up to help families and stuff, the other side of the coin is that we have to take a look and examine why the fuck this happened and you know, what caused this shit, because we can't have another one of these, man. You know, people just can't take it. It's too much. Orlando had a real shitty week where there was a crazy asshole who fucking shot a singer that was on The Voice for America's Got Talent or something like that. Shot her at a fucking autograph signing. Crazy cocksucker. And then the Pulse nightclub shooting happened, and then some dude was letting his kid wade around in the water at a Disney World resort, and the fucking kid got snatched up and killed by a fucking gator. You know, this all happened in less than a week's time. So Orlando had kind of a shitty week, but to get back on topic, it's important, I think, for us to look at why the fuck this happened, you know, and there are lots of reports and statements and stuff that surfaced from people that the guy was mentally unbalanced, had depression issues, you know, on and on and on and on and on. But the fact of the matter is, the documented fact of the matter is, man, I gotta get some air steaming up. The fact of the matter is that in the middle of his fucking killing spree, this cocksucker calls 911 to report it on himself. Now calls 911 to report it, and, you know, claims allegiance to ISIS. What is just as dangerous to me about the fact that this guy was, well, not necessarily a fact, but the alleged fact that this guy was mentally unbalanced, is the fact that ISIS has put forth an ideology to support this kind of activity. And, you know, whether you want to argue about whether or not we should be attacking radical jihad or radical Islam as a fucking ideology is, you know, one side or the other. I could debate it all day. I've got my own opinions. But the fact is that ISIS has put forth an ideology that encourages people to do this stupid shit. And if you're not willing to see that as probably the single greatest evil force of our fucking time, then I don't know what to tell you. It is absolutely the evil of our day. It's the Nazi of our day. and people want to make a Nazi comparison all the time in hyperbole or whatever. The fact is that they have put this ideology forth that encourages this, and it affects people like this crazy motherfucker who went into a nightclub and killed or injured over 100 plus people. And I don't give a fuck how you slice it. That is the single greatest evil of our day. This is not my exit. And if we don't get our shit together, both individually, as a human race, and as a nation at the very least, to fucking combat this, we're gonna see things get a lot worse before they get better. And the question that I continue to ask is, how much of this bullshit do we have to fucking tolerate before we as a people, and we as a country, and we as a human race are willing to stand up and fucking smash it out and fucking do something about it? And people want to say, well, you can't go to war with an ideology. Bullshit. You just have to be willing to do it. And right now, I am fucking terrified that we don't have the fortitude to fucking stand up and do something about it for fear of fucking offending someone. You know what? I don't give a fuck if you're offended. This crazy cocksucker, in an ISIS state of mind, in an ISIS ideology, killed or injured over 100 over 100 people, put every member of their family into the worst tragedy they will probably ever experience in their lives. And that's something that we can't take lightly and still call ourselves human. We can't do that. We have to be willing to stand up and do something about it. Enough on that. Major props to the mayor of Orlando, again, Buddy Dyer. Much respect to you, sir. When the shit hit the fan, Buddy Dyer's concern was for the families of the victims and for the people of this city. The concern of politicians at a national level was, how can we spend this to support a gun control agenda? And I'm going to dive into this a little bit. This crazy cocksucker walked into that nightclub with a Sig Sauer AR-15. As a matter of pure coincidence, one of my very good friends owns that same Sig Sauer model. And about 2 weekends ago, we took it out. A friend of his has some property out in the boonies, and we took it out there and fired it a little bit. And I'm not an AR-15 guy personally. I prefer the AK-47 style rifle, but that Sig Sauer rifle is one of the most powerful firearms that I've ever used in my life, in terms of accuracy, in terms of operating capacity. And don't get me wrong, all rifles are made for one purpose and one purpose alone, and it's to kill. The difference, in my personal opinion, is having a respect for the firearm, having a respect for its purpose, and becoming proficient in its use, and having the wherewithal to know when that rifle's purpose is to be employed. You take from that what you will. But we had quite a discussion about it, and we both came to the agreement and the understanding that anybody who walked into a building that size with that kind of rifle could have cleaned house and done far worse damage. And it is incredibly difficult for anybody to be able to stop a power of that magnitude. I'm coming up on my apartment complex, but I'm going to ride for a little bit, even though it's morning traffic, and expound on this a little bit. But there was no doubt in either mine or my friend's mind as to why it took, a police force and a SWAT team basically to take this knucklehead out. It's just a ridiculous amount of power in that firearm. But back to the original point, while Mayor Dyer's concern was with the victims' families and the people of Orlando, and on help and recovery, national, federal level politicians, who shall remain nameless for my personal lack of respect for them, decided to come down here and capitalize on these families' tragedies and capitalize on their misfortune and their pain and use that as their stepping stone in their own little personal gun control agenda. And I find it absolutely fucking disgusting. What a disgusting couple of human fucking beings. I hesitate to even call them human beings. They're fucking parasites. They're fucking slime. And to come down here and to politicize their pain and to try to use it to support their fucking gun control agenda, it fucking makes my blood boil and it makes my stomach turn. And there's no two ways about that shit. And again, to Mayor Dyer's credit and to a couple of state senators whose unfortunately names escape me. I haven't learned my new state senators and representatives' names yet. But to their credit, they stepped up and called it what it is. Called it political pandering, called it capitalization, and called those bastards out for the fucking scumbags that they are. I was very proud of them for that. My faith in the city leadership and the state leadership is pretty damn high. I'm really glad to be living in Florida now and knowing that even when something like that happens, leadership at all levels in this state and in this city are dependable and can be counted upon to do the right thing and can be counted upon to help people. And that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. You can't say that about a lot of people and a lot of leadership. Lastly, and then I'm gonna fuck off, we as American citizens need to protect ourselves and we need to protect those we love. That is a core principle that dates back to the very founding of this nation. One of the logical criticisms and one of the, in my view, fair criticisms from the Pulse nightclub deal is that one individual, you know, whether you want to make the argument for a concealed carry in that club or whether you want to make the argument for armed security in that club, which I'm probably more in favor of, oddly enough, even being the huge Second Amendment supporter that I am. I think one armed security guard in that nightclub, even if they couldn't save everyone, could have saved at least one life that night. And I find it very hard to dispute that. So, to me, that's one of the most important aspects and one of the most important lessons learned about this thing is that you need to protect yourself and you need to protect those you love. And you need to have the tools to do that job and you need to have the capacity to do that job. And to me, again, I'm a huge Second Amendment supporter and I make no bones about it. That, to me, means carrying a concealed weapon. You know, laws vary on that from state to state. And by all means, I encourage you to obey your state and local laws regarding concealed weapons. But to me, that means carrying a concealed weapon, having the capacity to use it, having the knowledge of that weapon, and also being proficient with that weapon's use, because if you are in a situation where you have to employ that weapon, you are directly responsible for the outcome of employing that weapon. And, you know, you've got the capability to do just as much harm as good in such a situation. And I think it's important to recognize that. But that is my take on it. You know, feel free to leave comments in the comments section. Dislike, I really don't give a shit about that. Subscribe if you like what you see in this video and want to see more. As long as the comments are civilized and respectful, regardless of point of view, I'll leave them up. The second that comments devolve into, you know, bullshit, name calling, flaming, any of that fucking stupid internet horseshit, I'll cut that motherfucker off in a hot second. I'll delete that comment, or I'll shut the comments off entirely. Like other things in this life, I think it's important to use things like that responsibly. So go ahead and comment if you feel the need. One more time, I'll pimp the One Orlando Fund to help victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting and their families. It's oneorlando.org. I've had enough of this video horseshit today, so I'm gonna make a little U-turn here, head back for the house. Guys, if this whole thing has proven one thing, it's that shit can go south at any point in time. Crazy doesn't take a day off. Crazy doesn't fucking give you advanced warning. Shit will pop off on you in a second or less. How you react to it is what's important, and how you live your life is what's important. So, like I always say, go out, kick your life in its ass today, have some fun, and I'll see you guys on the next ride. See ya!